Returns post Talladega IROC edition. I am your host, Nicholas Marra, depending on what iRacing name you see. And we've got a couple of special guests today. We've obviously got Matt Marra, brother here. Welcome. And then a couple of special guests. Well, I say a returning guest for one, Matt Danson, aka special guest, returning guest. When he's available for us, he'll be on. So very, very happy to have him back. And even probably more special guests this week. We've got Dylan Coyle, aka race winner from yesterday evening. So yay, Dylan, welcome to the show. We're going to get into it in a moment. How has your last 24 hours been though?
Oh my goodness. I've got to say that was, I'm still kind of reeling from it, from that finish. If it wasn't for Dominic Howells pushing at the end, who, like, I'll be honest, thought he was too aggressive in the beginning, was happy he was aggressive at the end, but it would not have been possible without him. So big thanks to him. That race was just, oh my goodness, my blood pressure, if you could sense what it was with 10 laps to go. I mean, God, Danson, how do you do it?
I haven't done it all this year.
So fair.
Well, we talked about last week about going and winning a championship in nerves, and he's just like, no, I knew I was going to win it. I was going to pull it off. Danson's the wrong guy to ask.
Yeah, Danson, there's four people on this call. Two of us have won this year, and I think we wouldn't have expected. So we got some catching up to do, and we'll talk a little bit, Dylan, in a moment about I guess Dominic, which I'm sure you were cursing him out quite a bit in the first 10 laps. But that's over. That didn't happen. But I guess we have to start. We'll start pretty quickly here with Matt and I's race regarding the IROC race. We did some practice. Dylan, we practiced together a little bit. We pushed quite a bit, and I think it was at that point that I realized that this was probably going to be a struggle for me again, and it was. I don't know what happened on the start, but I didn't shift through the gears correctly, so I was last by turn one, and then nobody crashed. I really expected you guys to crash. I know it was only like a 15-car field, but I saw everybody racing and assumed you guys would crash and I'd be in good shape, and you just never did. And then Stove and I ran nose to tail. We didn't wreck, so that was a kind of a blessing. And watched the finish from ahead. Finished ninth, so. Hey, top 10 finish on the RSR stat line. That was the goal 20 laps in. So some people made mistakes. I didn't, and I was pretty happy with it. So that was pretty boring. Nothing happened for 50 laps. I almost fell asleep at the end, other than cheering for you, Dylan. So we were all cheering. I can tell you the Marra Motorsports chat was cheering for you quite a bit. So that was my boring 50-lap day out the window there. Matt, I think your day had a little more hope at the beginning. So how did your day go, and how did it kind of pan out for you?
Yeah, and I was talking to Dylan a little bit before the race. I didn't anticipate a lot of passing, so I figured qualifying would be really important. And about 5, 6, 7 minutes into qualifying, I was P1, and I felt really strong about my lap. I was up by 0.2 on the field, and so I walked away. Took my pre-race restroom break, came back down, and Nick Silver had posted an incredible lap. And the whole time upstairs, I'm daydreaming about how I'm going to start from the pole, lead all the laps. And Nick Silver almost did that because he qualified first and qualified second, was happy to start in the front row, but knew right away, get to the bottom, right? Because I expected a lot of what we saw at Daytona. In the IROC cars, which was, even if there was a high line, it was still hard to pass. And Talladega in the IROC Series last year, when Evan won, there wasn't a lot of passing. So new track position was going to be important, and kind of just hug the line in second, saving some gas because it looked like it was going to be kind of close. And just riding there behind Nick Silver. Very, very boring, to the point where I started making mistakes because I wake up very early in the morning with the kids, making it to 9 o'clock, running around, doing nothing on the bottom of the track. I'm exhausted, and I'm already falling asleep. There's nothing going on in there. And I made a mistake.
In the alley, I was thinking the same thing about them. So I need to pick up and see them in the morning. So you're right.
Yeah, I need to start hitting myself. And so I think around lap 20, after 20 laps and nothing, I go to look at my fuel, and I'm thinking maybe I need to make some adjustments to the pit options. And I'm in VR, and I'm like trying to grab things, and I mess up and I hit the apron a little bit. And I think that's when Evan got in front of me on the high side. And Dylan, you were one of, I think, 2 cars. Ross was behind me that had to check up a little bit. I think I did that 2 more times, and I fell back to 5th. And it just because I was having a hard time waking myself up, to be quite honest. The racing was so goddamn boring in the car. And so the other couple times. And so we get to pit stops. I had a nice clean entrance and exit, but I ended up being like 1.2 seconds behind, the 4 of you. And Dylan, you were part of that pack that was catching, I think, the front 2. And, that was just too far back to get a draft. And at that point, you need a caution. And the field's so spread out, it just wasn't going to happen. After the race, listening to the post-race stuff, and I don't know, Dylan, we'll get to your race. One of the questions I'm going to have for you is, did you play with the amount of fuel you were putting in there? I didn't touch it because, we were pitting at lap 29. And I was like, well, we get a green, white checkered. Made me need that time. But a second more of gas cost me being with the rest of the everyone else. And either my pit crew sucks or everyone else got a little bit less gas to make it to the end. So kind of just ran there, Evan and I, and Munse, I probably just completely butchered his name. The 3 of us kind of ran in the second group, doing absolutely nothing. Hugo, for some reason, popped to us on race spot for, I don't know, a lap. And they caught me hitting the wall in the tri-oval like an idiot. So Hugo literally doesn't miss anything. It's not something anybody should have caught. It's not something anybody should have caught.
He just had a sense that Matt was getting tired from the kids.
Yeah, but so Munse's getting on the radio and he's saying, get out of the way. And I figured maybe he's overheating me, but he wasn't really pushing me. I didn't feel like it. So I'm like, whatever, I'll let him go. And I got in the tri-oval, and for whatever reason, when you get off the bottom, it just felt like even in the tri-oval, the car was unnecessarily tight and just went straight to the wall. So I scraped the wall, and I don't know. I think Jonathan and the other announcer, they kind of played it off as nicely as they can, like they always have to. But it's like, come on, guys, you guys, they never miss me make a mistake. I swear.
This is Talladega, right?
This is Talladega, yeah.
He said it was boring. I thought the cars were hard to drive. I thought I was turning right more than left. This was an impressive Talladega win. I was impressed. It was, right?
Yes, it was a lot of driving to the right. I was saying that in practice. I'm like, why are we turning to the right to go left? I didn't understand it. It was a very tight drive.
That was for Talladega. That was a man's man win. I'm hyping Dylan up a little bit, but I was riding. Yeah, I was riding with Stove, and I was like, shit, are we both going to spin out here? I mean, I wanted to turn him just to bring the caution.
I did some of that.
I thought about it. And I was like, we could talk about this, and he wouldn't even be mad about it. I think we all would have been pretty okay with it. But for the sake, we had a reset. So, I mean, honestly, any of us could have been sacrifices. I would have been okay if Morano turned me behind me.
I think you made the comment on the radio, and I'll just take one for the team and wreck Stove here. So
I was afraid. I was honestly afraid. I was afraid that maybe Hugo would pick up the radio chatter, and I would get a suspension for manipulating the race or something. Because that's what I wanted to do, but I just didn't want to make it too obvious. And the side draft gone wrong. But anyway, they were hard to drive. So you say it was boring. Yeah, I mean, in the pack.
So the end of my race, just to hurry up and wrap that up because I've been talking way too much, is, Evan and I were racing in this 6th through 8th. I think Evan called it the consolation group. You guys are racing side by side, the 5 of you, for probably the last 10 laps, no accidents. And here's the 3 of us running in the second group. And I don't know, there's 3 or 4 laps to go. And I get a run on the bottom. There's 3 of us. We got nothing to lose. We're not catching the pack. So I get under Evan. I know my spotter told me car high, and Evan just goes down on me, nearly wrecks us all. And he's on the apron, and we're all checking up and okay, we'll stay together, let you gather it. He caught it, I think, from into turn 1, almost caught it and got back on the track, off 2, and somehow held it together. And then in the tri-oval on the last lap, the 82, he just came right in front of me. I didn't really get what that was about. and turn him. And Evan posted that picture on Twitter. I was like, people just wanted to come across my nose for some reason. I swear it wasn't me. I made enough mistakes, but I didn't hit anyone on purpose. It wasn't my fault. So 7th place, I'll take it. Obviously, Talladega was hoping for more, especially after the Daytona IROC race, was hoping to get some redemption. But, there will be more restrictor plates on the RSR schedule this year for that redemption, because certainly, Dylan, we were very excited for you to, I don't know if we call it redemption, but to go ahead and pull it off. A very popular win.
Well, at Daytona, that was when I just full on, as my race spot colleagues like to say, yeeted it. And I was so down on power from a wreck. I think Evan accidentally, he got involved with something. I got collected. I was so down on power, I could barely hit passable speeds. Well, that huge wreck happened on the backstretch. I went full throttle through it all and finished 6th or something like that.
Yep. Oh, I thought you got the top 5. I thought that was your first top 5.
It might have been my first top 5. I don't remember exactly. But I've gotten top 10s in all 4 IROC races.
Yeah.
Second in the points. I don't belong there.
Dylan Coyle champion, question mark?
Oh God, 20. I think it's 28 points, the difference between Nick and I. So now
Nick's gonna have to miss a race. And I watched the broadcast yesterday, or because I was intently listening to his interview, and they asked him about the championship. I'm waiting for him to say he's going to miss one of the races or something, and Dylan's going to win the championship. But no, they're going for a championship. He's going to be there for the last 2, and I think all he probably has to do is start it.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, he's been unbelievable this series, and I mean, he led 47 laps out of the 50. I knew at the end it was just you're saying about the inside being the way to go. You just couldn't make anything work. We just barely squeaked him out with 3 on the outside, and he had 2 on the inside. So if Ross Cato decides that he's going to go down to the inside and make it a 3-on-2, the inside's running away. I mean, Ross also gets a lot of credit for that win as well, because if he decides to go down to the inside, he might give himself a better chance of winning. Instead, he kind of hung out, gave us a chance on the outside.
So I guess before we get into that, Danson, did you just not give a shit about us this week? Just didn't feel like showing up, wanted to give us a chance. I mean, I think we were all a little hurt when we didn't hear any snippy comments on the chat this week. So
yeah, I actually I did intend to come to this race because I thought that'd be a fun time, and I woke up and I looked at the clock, and it was about a minute after quali would have finished.
I knew it was going to be a dance and sleep in excuse. I knew it.
Yeah, 100%. But
that's
also,
a new excuse. It's a new common excuse.
Yeah, but I was feeling pretty average. I'm still at the moment, coming down with from a bit of a cold. But I just wanted to highlight as well, Matt, the second half of your review of your race. I don't think I've ever heard that much innuendo in within a 1 minute span. You watch that back later; it's hilarious. If you're questionable in the mind like myself, but in any case, I thought it was interesting that Evan came across your nose. But anyway, so I was intending to race, but I just I woke up that I'm assuming. What time did the race actually start? What time did quali go? Was it 9?
Same time as always, Matt. Yeah, same time. Yeah.
And 10 minutes quali?
Yep.
It was 10 minutes. It was 10 minutes. I probably would have made it, but I just looked at the clock. I was like,
I'm gonna give him a chance
today. Yeah, exactly.
Well, we appreciate your kind gesture. And Dylan, I guess let's talk about your day. I know. Where did you start? I feel like you weren't in the front. Maybe I'm wrong, but I didn't feel like you were.
I started third.
Okay, so you were in the front. Okay, so you were in the front. Walk us through your race. Maybe that moment where you were like, I could win this race, and then everything that followed.
Immediately after starting third, I spun the tires and fell to mid pack.
That's what I did. Except I lost the pack, and then I suffered for 50 laps. It was just right. Yeah.
So
Good for you.
really, for the first half of the race, it was so boring. We tried to make the outside work. I was on a sorry, that's my mom is texting me.
Well, she knows you're on the
Hey,
podcast.
did you know you're live on
Getting positive reviews. We're so big, mothers are watching now. This is great.
I know, for real. She's texted me a GIF of I don't even know.
Is she actually watching right now? Do we actually?
No,
have a
not at all. She has no idea I'm on this.
Okay. Good. Yeah, we're not that big yet, but okay.
Moms aren't watching yet. That's
Okay,
how
you're right.
Okay. But I for the first half of the race, it was just I was on a chat with Evan, with Trevin, and Steve Soa, and we were having fun. We were trying to see if we could make the outside work. We couldn't. So when the hole came down, we went to the inside, and that's when I started just complaining the entire time on the radio because I'm like, this sucks. Like the inside, there's nowhere to go. There's so much like of an accordion effect in a way. It was just boring. And then Matt scared the hell out of us.
I woke everyone up. You're welcome.
I feel like he does that. He does that like 2 or 3 times in RSR race. So he just got it on a little bit before the pit
That's the
stop.
thing. I feel like I am like speed wise, I am solid, but I make too many mistakes. And then you can't make mistakes.
We got one talking point of podcast, I think, from you so far.
At least, yeah, every race. We've done 4 episodes. That's a lot of mistakes.
I love that. But yeah, so I mean, the first half of the race was just survive. I definitely was saying over the radio, I'm like, oh, Dominic, he's really being aggressive right now. There's no reason to be aggressive. So that was funny looking at what happened later.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, we're talking and we're like, what are we gonna do for pit stops? And I'm like trying to get us to go a little bit early. I just didn't. I wanted to get out of that pack.
Yeah.
We ended up going in, I believe, end of lap 26, and we went no tires and went full fuel. I was really nervous about this, but it was a perfect in and out. I literally my best I've ever done in iRacing, and I came out 4 seconds ahead of everybody else. I mean,
Wow.
from our group. None of them were able
no
to.
tires as well. Did they all take no tires?
Yes, Trevin, who was on a controller. Mind you.
Wow. We knew that wasn't going to go well. He was behind me after the pit stop.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened to him. Yeah.
Is he always on a controller?
No.
He drives like he's always on a controller.
Yeah, I was going to say that makes sense.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
He hit the wall going into his pit stall, and I believe he got a speeding penalty. And Evan overshot it, and I just left them. I'm like, bye. And
I'm not waiting for you.
exactly. And everybody else came in that next lap, and I was able to stay a second out in front of the pack, so I wasn't lapped by the time they were going into. You guys were going into the pits.
Now thinking about it, just to chime in real quick, I think what the difference was, you guys didn't take less fuel, but since you pitted 2 laps earlier, it took less fuel to fill the tank, right? So less time in
It was only one lap. I mean, it was only one lap.
It was one. No, it was one lap because Steve, I wanted to strangle Steve personally. I wish I was on your team because we were together and you guys did such a great job pitting. You guys did such a great job. Like we had no idea. I was telling you, I was like, I'm pitting next lap, and I was like, I think
you did. Yeah. So Nick, you had no gas left because
I was like down to 2. I should have pitted with you guys, and if I had known, I totally would have, and I didn't, and it cost me the lap around. I lost like almost a second just by myself. And Steve and I ended up back together again. But man, I was like, if we could have coordinated it out, we could have probably been in a slightly better position. But nobody was talking. Nobody said a word on the radio. And you guys pitted and didn't say a word because you knew what you were going to do. This is what we were talking. I was like, they must have known what they were going to do.
We did.
Yeah, but why do you hide? I guess why do you hide that? Don't you want as many people pitting with you as possible?
Well, I wasn't the ringleader. Blame Evan.
Okay, is that why we're so quiet? Should we blame him?
Yeah.
Should we be blaming him for? Yeah, you guys handled it so well. Like that was like a Ford Chevy.
I know.
Life situation where nobody tells anybody anything and they all work together. That was perfect.
I remember saying in our chat, I'm like, we should have had the Marra brothers join us in this Discord chat. I was saying that.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if we believe him. I don't know if we
I promise.
He's sucking up because he's on it. So That's fine. That's fine.
Dylan didn't know he was going to be on the show at this point. He didn't earn it yet.
Oh, okay, that's true. That's true. Okay, then we're just funny. That's great. Okay.
I said in practice, like, if I win, am I on? Didn't expect that. But yeah, so and it was just a good pit in and pit out for me. And by the time I was up to speed, and the rest of the guys were coming out of the pits, I ended up fourth. Nick was like 3 seconds in front. Ross and I hooked up, and we started just moving forward through the field. And we collected Dominic, then Nick a little bit later. And it was at this point with like 10 laps to go, then I'm like, oh, there's a chance.
Yeah.
And that's when my heart started racing, and I was like, oh, there's a chance.
But you're in P4 right now at this point, right? So I guess what I saw in the racing, even if you're P4, that's 3 cars you have to pass on a track that's very difficult to make any passes on when you're on the inside.
Yes. And we also had Brian Chambliss come in at one point. And there were 2 moves I made. I haven't even rewatched it.
Really? Shocking. You need to rewatch it.
I didn't rewatch the last. I only rewatched the last like lap just to see. Okay. But there were 2 moves I made. Just changing lanes really quickly. I got a run, changed lanes, got in front of somebody else. Then I had a huge run from the bottom. Nick was in front. The outside was struggling. It was 3 and 2. It was Nick, me, and Brian on the inside, and Dominic and Ross on the outside. They were slowing down on the outside. I was gaining to Nick. I had a hole. I knew the only way I would even have a shot to win is not to fully pass, but to be in the lane with more cars. And that was the outside. And I just jumped, and it was just side by side for the last 10 laps. And from that point, it was just, okay, it was almost testing, right? Like, how do I make sure that by the time you get to the finish line, I'm just a little bit ahead? Because it was moments I thought I could have passed Nick, but I was never even close to being fully clear. From that, it was just Dominic was, again, being aggressive, and this time I enjoyed most of it. I was just sneaking a little bit ahead over the course of the last few laps. Last lap comes around, and Dominic gets a big push on me in turn 1 and 2. I almost completely lost it. Had another push to me in the backstretch, almost lost it again, but we kept going. And then we're coming in the tri-oval. Literally, I was going to lose until Dominic gave me the biggest push he could have possibly given me, just a few 100 yards. And I just sneaked ahead, and I was in shock. I was in complete disbelief. That was so cool. Like, I honestly was so excited that I had tears coming out. I know that's ridiculous to say.
It's not. No. I mean, you saw my reaction for Nick winning. And I think we want to see more of that. Obviously, people pumped to win. I think that's why it's such a popular win. And I watched the race, and you were getting.
Just make sure you cry on camera. That's all we need.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
I had no idea how to do a burnout. I said on the
Neither did I. If you watch it, it was a complete joke. The whole thing was a freaking joke. I did like a one kind of a burnout, hit the wall. There's a ton of damage, and then of course they all caught that on camera. And I was like, I need to stop.
I got damage as well from hitting the wall. I said on the Discord as I was just about to come to a stop. You could see actually in the replay. I said, if you can read lips, I said, I don't even know how to do a burnout.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. And I didn't rev up from neutral. I just smashed the gas in from firsts, and just had a lot of fun. Evan met me at the finish line. That was pretty cool. I looked to my left, acting as if he was actually to my left.
It was a real Jimmy Johnson, Chase Elliott moment from the final.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson.
We could all line up on
the torch.
Yep, he passed on his Dega win.
Exactly. Yeah, he was passing it on to you. Yeah.
Oh man, but that was just that was cool. And then seeing all the Discord mentions that honestly, like, that made my night. Like, that was even cooler than the win, just seeing people really excited to see that happen. So yeah, it's still amazing. Like, I'll remember that forever.
Yeah, I think so. When I'm curious, did you when you crossed the line, did you know I got it, or was it really like, let's just look at the leaderboard and see if I was first?
Second, I wanted to make sure to see the leaderboard. I had a little bit of a yes, like a little way.
Did we actually win?
Yeah, I didn't believe it. I really didn't believe it. Yeah, it was definitely the second.
And we
I got a question. I got a question for Dylan. It's I haven't seen this race, so I don't know if it's updated since. But each time I watch the broadcast, I feel like your setup, like so where your sim setup, it feels like you're about 15 meters away from your screen.
I used to be.
Okay, have you fixed that? Have you changed that? Have you? Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Is this a new? Is this a first? Was that your first race using this closer setup?
It's been a little bit. I'll move out of shot. I used to have a play seat challenge and sat like literally
in the middle.
Yeah, in the middle of the room, and I was maybe that's why I shouldn't broadcast and drive at the same time.
Your room was always very messy too. I saw an unmade bed. I saw washing. Yeah, there we go.
Dylan, our brother, that was the one comment. He was like, the guy who commentates, he's super nice, but his bedroom is so freaking messy. Well, I was like, dude, that must be Dylan. I had to look back and I was like, oh, it is messy. That's just throw it to the side. Throw it to the side. There's like 50 people watching on it. You gotta look good for it.
I know. Now it's only my bed that's messy with clothes that I have to put away. Yeah. I can't even use the I'm a college kid excuse anymore because I graduated. So
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh man.
So have you seen the difference when you got the new setup that is not the one Danson was talking about?
Honestly, yes. So I actually also got a butt kicker underneath. And it hasn't been in use the last few times because I need to change my one of my devices broke, so I couldn't use. I didn't have an extra sound card, but that's besides the point. It was a bit of an adjustment, changing the field of view to what it would accurately be from that point. But it's become second nature now. I know that's like cliche, but it's very helpful to be sitting right there. So I can't see the difference.
Okay, well, that's interesting because we kind of talked about this a couple weeks ago. I think Matt and I did with Sean, but if you saw my setup, it's a 56-inch TV on a tray table.
Can you show us?
Yeah, sure.
I don't think I could show you. Because the problem is that I have to move around to the other side. Maybe I'll take a picture.
We can wait. It's fine.
Well, it's not even set up yet because I have to set it all up. It'll be like if I want to do like a 5 o'clock session, it'll be like 4:57, and I'm logging off of work and putting everything. The problem with the road courses is it's so bad that like I have to put something behind my chair. I'll show you guys next week.
Please do.
It's ratchet, and you'll wonder how I finished 15th last week. I think that's probably what we'll wonder. So we're working on.
What about you, Matt?
Yeah, I know. He's got his whole thing's moving around and finished better than.
What have you got, Matt?
Oh yeah, so I've got a DOF Reality H3.
Goodness.
Yeah, and I use the HP Reverb G2 like you, Matt.
Is that
nice.
Fusion?
You've even got tires there.
What's that, Dylan?
See what car is that from? On the wall.
So I've got Trevor Bayne on the wall, and then I'm an Eric Almirola fan, so I've got that's All-Star Race 2018. And then that behind the wheel there, it's a Bowman tire from Homestead, and then that's off of Eric's 2018 Talladega win.
Oh, that's sick. Yeah. I've got a Jimmy Johnson tire somewhere. Not here. I've grown up a Jimmy fan since like ever. But most of my memorabilia is not
7 times. Yeah.
Oh, that was I'll be honest. One of the only sports moments I ever cried was 2016.
Dylan, I was there for that, and that was other than I was lucky enough as a Jeff Gordon fan to see. I saw him win his last race in person. That was amazing.
That's so cool.
That was the best. And then I saw him win a Brickyard in person, Daytona 500. I got very lucky. But other than those, the 7th championship in person was, I don't think any sports moment will top it. That being there in person.
The action. My God.
Yeah, because you'll never see it. Everybody had booed. You guys both would know that. Everybody booed for years, but that day there were no boos when he was on those last couple of laps. After that Carl Edwards wreck happened, it was like he's gonna win the championship.
What a man Carl Edwards is to go up and apologize for that. I mean, that was just amazing.
Awesome.
That it's a shame that was his last ever race.
I know. For now. Forever. No, it'll be forever.
I'm still mad at Carl Edwards. I don't know if I complained about this last time, but he screwed Montoya out of a win. So he's always in the bad books forever.
Let's see which win did he screw him out of? Because
well, I mean, it wasn't guaranteed, but when he flipped Brad at Atlanta.
Right.
So one was right on Kurt Busch. He's closing him down. He's had like 2/10 a lap, and he was getting to him, and then that happened, and game over.
And we didn't even talk. Actually, it's funny because I was thinking about our conversation, and I was like, no, he lost plenty of more races we didn't discuss. We have Richmond in 2013, a couple weeks before Dover. He had that one. Caution came out with a couple to go. There's plenty of Montoya giveaways. You're right. I did forget about that. He was probably going to win that race, and it wasn't even going to be close.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I was just going to say. So Carl Edwards, he
don't like him.
forever in the bad books. Yep.
I'm still mad about. I was at a Dover race in 2014. Was it? Or 2020, it was one race where it was Tony Stewart. It was one of his last wins.
It was the 2013 race we talked about last week. Dylan didn't listen to our podcast.
Yeah.
Was it the second?
It was Jeff, Montoya, and Tony. Montoya had the race won, and then I think a late caution came out, and Jeff and Tony got tires, and Tony passed him in the last couple laps, and I was like, Montoya, can you just do Montoya stuff? And if you're not going to win, wreck Tony so Jeff can win.
Well, you know why I was mad? I'm mad about that. It's because they said Jimmy jumped the start.
That's right. He had that race won, and he screwed it up. That's why I was so mad, because I was like, Jimmy was going to win, or Montoya was going to win. And then when Jimmy, I was like, as a Tony Stewart non-liker until after he retired, as Matt would know, I was like, of course Jimmy was going to jump that start, because now Tony's going to win when he shouldn't have won, and he ran like crap all day. So that was a cross the finish line, shut the TV off day. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I'm a Tony fan, and so in our household, it's been Tony versus Jeff since '99, and many couch fights growing up
for a few years. Then it got to the point, so it got to the point where. Dylan, we were talking about like hockey stuff and like when you were younger, and we kind of talked about this last week, Danson, but like your first sports love is your actual love. So I watched so many racing series, but nothing is like Jeff, where every week was 3-4 hours of drama and just frustration. Like, I mean, even if he was running well, you were never happy until it was over. Yeah, you get it, right? Like, it was just like, I look back and like the last year, I was like, thank God I know it's his last year, because I'm going to just enjoy everything, because I didn't enjoy a lot of the years. And Matt and I, we used to argue quite a bit. We would fight. We've never really argued, except for like in 2001. I specifically remember we got in a couple of almost fist fights, and we basically did a pact that was like, okay, if one of them crashes, we're not going to say anything. So like Tony or Jeff would crash, and we wouldn't say a word, but on the inside, we were very happy.
Well, then we ganged up on our sister, who was a Kenseth fan. So we both together had a mutual hate for Matt Kenseth, and everything was okay.
How do you hate Matt Kenseth though? Like,
because I think it was, why? I mean, like, honestly, why did I hate Tony Stewart? And I think Matt got to the point where it was like, why did I hate Jeff Gordon? I think we all changed.
At the end, I was rooting for Gordon over Tony, because Nick was much more invested in NASCAR, and I'm like, if Jeff wins, he's going to be a lot happier than I would be if Tony won. That's part of growing up, I guess.
So for me, I'm from Philly. I'm a Philadelphia guy. And the underdogs in Philadelphia, Rocky, all that stuff. That's kind of what has always usually when I'm picking a team or a driver, that's kind of what I'm drawn to. Johnson, he wasn't really the underdog. I was 8. I didn't know Rocky. But I I've naturally over the past year, I was thinking like, well, Jimmy's retired. Like, and I was fortunate enough at a Pocono race that I was covering a few years back. He was the first presser of the weekend, and I got to ask him a few questions, and I thought that was so cool. Except I totally was a jerk to him with the questions. This was when his losing streak was almost at a year.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you gonna do? I'm like asking as a reporter, like, but like on the inside, I'm like, dude, just win. But nonetheless, I've kind of had to like think of who am I gonna follow next, and it's kind of just something that comes naturally. So not to get this into much of a serious topic of what happened over the last year, the cultural shift in NASCAR, but I just kind of grew accustomed to Bubba Wallace, and I thought everything he's doing, it's pretty cool. And I was at Bristol, and my God, the crowd was awful.
Yeah. At the All-Star race last year?
No, at the race in September.
When he led a bunch of laps near the end, right?
I don't think he did. I don't remember.
Wait, which race? Which race did you?
Maybe I'm thinking probably when he's in the 43. A couple of years ago.
This was September. Was September at Bristol. And during introductions, fans the loudest boos were to him, and I was so frustrated. So I don't know. It just kind of grew on me. Bubba kind of grew on me, and so that's kind of like who I find myself naturally rooting for, as well as Alex Bowman, because
I think Jeremy Miller's a very big Alex Bowman fan. I can tell by the Twitter. So
absolutely. But like every week now, it's cool to be like back into like rooting for someone who, at this point, has not won a race yet, and it's just kind of cool to like kind of be on that side instead of for such a long time. I was younger, 5 in a row, and I was used to it when I was like I wasn't accustomed to anything else. So I don't know why I'm starting to talk about that, but
I went through that. Nick, I don't know that you've ever kind of found someone, but I guess I had kind of a similar story with Tony retiring, and I had always been an Eric fan, Eric Almirola, but I had followed him. Nick and I were at the Xfinity race where and I was a huge Eric fan, where Eric led the first 60 laps in Milwaukee and got pulled out of the car, and Hamlin won for Eric, right? So I guess saw him get his first Xfinity Series win, but not really. It was just kind of a weird experience. But I had been a fan even before that, and had followed him, but I guess through the late years of Tony's career had kind of, I don't want to say lost NASCAR, but didn't follow it as closely. And in 2018, I had started picking it up again. It's been something that Nick and I have connected over many, many years. And I had kind of reattached myself to Eric, especially with him going to Stuart Haas, racing for Tony. How cool is that? And the 2018 Daytona 500 was absolute heartbreak with Austin Dillon turning him into the last lap.
God, don't even get me started talking about that.
So I hate Austin Dillon, and of course he's had more success than he has ever deserved since then. But what I texted Nick after that race was kind of something very similar.
I was at that race too. Yeah. I lived in Orlando for a while, so I was there. I was like,
man, you get to all the races. That's crazy.
You know what? For a long time, I stepped back a little bit, but when Jeff retired, I went on the I called it Jeff and Across America tour.
Nice.
16 races in his last year. So
that's awesome.
Fans, you got like, well, I wanted to see him win in person. I saw him lose a lot, but so for you guys, like with the Jimmy thing, I was like, it was so corny, but also like I totally did it. I went to the last 4 races, so I saw him win. For me, I was like, I would have hated for it to happen during coronavirus, because I wanted to go see the last times that I was gonna race. Like it was. I'll be honest. I feel like Marras are emotional. I cried at every single race that I went to, and that last
emotional as well.
I was crying. I was crying so much that I didn't cry when he won, actually, but that last race, it was just 2 straight hours before the race. It was so. It was just like so. Don't look at me. Yeah, but the sunglasses on. I mean, that was that was a lot. But so now it's not. It'll never be like that again. Which I'm kind of thankful because you can just kind of enjoy it. Like even when Truex was, winning all the races, or leading all the laps on Sunday, and you can appreciate the little things. So for me, I like Hendrick Motorsports, but I think Tyler Reddick is awesome to watch. So I like him. He won the first championship, Xfinity, and I was like, this is boring as hell. Then he won the next year, and I was like, oh, he's awesome now. I like him. So. And the Bubba Wallace thing, I think Marras as a group, I think Bubba's probably our favorite. I was talking to our brother about this. He's not doing that great. I don't know. Every week is a disappointment with him. And
He's really not.
So I think Mike Wheeler should not. Mike Wheeler should not be the crew chief. My thinking is Denny fired him because he sucked and he couldn't win with him. So why do you think putting him with Bubba, who has never won, is going to yield success? So personally, I think that he should be gone by halfway through the season. He's made a lot of, and Dylan, you probably know this if you're going to follow him. He's made at least 4 or 5 just shitty, like take top 10s out of his hand cars. Where with Mattisau, like you need to be finishing 7th to 10th right now, not doing something dumb to try and lead 2 laps and then finish 20th. And that's what he's doing. And he's making, like Bubba's made enough mistakes on his own. Yep. Don't hurt him even more. So that's my rant. Mike Wheeler should be gone by mid-year. Want some other Joe Gibbs guy in there, and they'll do great. I guarantee you he'll improve. It didn't make sense to me. So I do hope. I think it does well. It'll be.
Do you think part of it is making those sorts of decisions, like you're saying, trying to make a move to lead 2 laps, and sacrifice the race? Is that happening due to the pressure that's being put on them by, sort of being, pushed to the forefront so much by NASCAR as being like the fate, like, because I feel like NASCAR are almost putting them in that box of they have to do something to like validate that presence that NASCAR is giving it, rather than just letting them organically get results.
Yeah, I mean
TV time, right? Yeah,
I agree. My one thing is like the Trackhouse team should not be running better than Bubba Wallace. Basically, what we got.
I agree. I think it's easier to get. I think it's easier to get lucky from 10th place than it is to gamble and get 20th, 100% at the end of the race. And like you said, Mike Wheeler has made extremely questionable, to put it nicely, decisions. And Bubba, with his mistakes, has not helped the situation. I'm sure, Bubba's an emotional guy. It gets to him too. And I'm not sure if you saw what Denny was saying. I think it was with Bob Pockris the other week, like basically saying Bubba's got to do better, the team's got to do better. And it's like, yeah, but try to, I don't know. I'm a big fan of the media relations game. And, and saying that publicly puts even more pressure.
My thing, and Dylan, I do want to sidetrack to the media and how you got into it, because like I think I told you before, that's a kind of a passion of mine.
You did.
Live a second life in an alternate universe. I think that's what the direction I would go.
Mm-hmm.
But I do wonder sometimes if people like Michael Jordan who come in, I don't know if they realize that this is not easy. It's not just like you throw your name on. I mean, he sucked as an NBA owner for 20 years. So putting your name on something and throwing money at it doesn't mean it's going to work.
Need the right people.
Yeah, it's about people. And I would be.
He wouldn't be involved, though. He would have no involvement in that team other than putting his name on it. Surely.
So and you have to wonder. Putting the name on it does. I agree with you. But I agree. But putting the name on it, like, don't also expect like you're going to win with someone who's never won right away. I don't know. I just,
do they care about winning though? Like realistically, from a business standpoint, would Jordan even really care? Would it make that much of a difference to win?
Well, I mean, think about it. Winning with Bubba would be
Exposure.
bigger than winning with any other driver, right?
Yeah.
So you're going.
They're already still getting that.
Right?
They're getting that right now. That exposure, they're already getting that.
Yeah,
they are.
But
But imagine like
or
they're making that. You win, even if it's at like, I mean, he's not going to win at a damn road course, but imagine if he wins at Daytona or Talladega. He's just, he unfortunately, it's like as underrated as I think Truex is, because he's good at all the hard tracks. Bubba, I don't know.
Bubba winning would be national news.
But if he wins at Daytona or Talladega in a lucky ass win, it doesn't even matter how it happens, even if it's a rain shortened win.
Of course,
we would all benefit. I mean, I think if you look
it
at
would be the biggest win in probably the last 5 years, at least, right? And probably longer, right? It would be
probably more than that.
And that's why you go all in on Bubba Wallace, because if you're the owner of that team, when they win, that is the ultimate win. It's like, okay, I can start first and lead all the laps, but it's much sweeter if I start last and I work my way up to first, right?
Alternatively, you've got a situation where all of the spotlight is on 2311, a new team trying to find its ground, a driver who knows that if he wins, it will be unimaginable amounts of exposure for not only him, but for the sport as a whole. And when you have all of that kind of coming together, it makes that pressure to succeed so much higher. And that's, great run at Dega until I believe it was the awful messed up pit stop. Pit
strategy. Oh, it was just that, not getting gas when you should have got gas with it, and then, running out of gas essentially, or pitting at the end. It's like, just stay out on that last caution and just see what happens, because you've already made your bet. Now let's finish 25th just to finish 25th. That's literally what they did.
Yeah, I believe they were in 17th. Wheeler made the call to come in, and they restarted 25th, and they finished 18th. Come on, man. It's not like tires are going to be that big of a deal.
I can only imagine. I mean, it's not RSR. That's real life. I can only imagine, the pressure I got on a daily basis. But I will sidetrack because Dylan, you just did a lot of great analysis, and I mean that's your profession. So why don't we talk a little bit about personally, you've had a very exciting week. Tell us about it. It's not. I mean, the RSR win is the highlight. But what happened? Maybe is
anybody can find a job. You don't win RSR every day.
Sorry, being on the podcast was number one. Winning was number two. The rest of it doesn't really matter, but I feel like we should talk about it.
Yeah. So you're right. I mean, this is number one highlight of my week.
Obviously.
So, and I believe I've joined Danson in this being a Wednesday now instead of a Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's been
basically
amazing.
Thursday in Danson's world at this point. So.
Yeah, no, we're halfway through. We're halfway through Wednesday. We're looking good.
So, a little explanation of the last week. Thursday, I graduated with a journalism degree from Temple University. Friday, I signed an offer letter to work in the job of my damn dreams. Literally since I was 10 years old, I've wanted to be a sportscaster. And now I'm going to be the voice of the Reading Royals, 2 levels below the NHL, which is just mind-boggling. I believe I'll be the youngest broadcaster by a few years. No one really goes, very few people go from college to the coast, as they call it, the ECHL. And I'm going to be one of them. And it's amazing. And then I obviously, won. Deal.
Cap off the perfect week.
Can we talk a little bit about you getting the job? So I imagine, and I know, we've done kind of you're graduating, it's time to go find a job. And I've got to imagine that media and broadcasting is a very difficult area to find a job in. And I know there was a lot of stress for me in finding a job. You're fighting a bunch of other applicants. You're coming out of school, and it's just like, did everything I just did in school for the last for me 6 years, it took a little longer. Did everything I just did, what is it going to amount to? Because you hear the stories of people, not being able to find anything out of school and stuff like that, right? So I got to imagine Friday was exciting, but at the same time, it's like a huge, I saw you posting on Facebook kind of, your last gig had kind of ended, and I got to imagine there's a huge sigh of relief that you had found something.
Yes. I guess a quick summary of what I've done with my career, because now I can call it my profession, I guess. Since
Yeah.
you know,
We're in the presence of greatness, boys.
Oh, come on, don't.
We got Dylan Coyle on podcast 4 before he forgets who we are in like 2 years.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
ESPN in 2 years time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe.
exactly. Hey, they're getting rid of everybody on ESPN. I think
They are. Why would I want to go there?
Hey, R.I.P. Kenny Mayne on ESPN. We're all sad about that. But
For real.
That was ridiculous. Anyway.
But yeah, so when the Phillies won the World Series in 2008, they had a broadcaster, Harry Callis, and that was his first ever World Series he got to call. He died a few months later, and I remember hearing that call. You know, Bradley stretches, the 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. You know, all that, and I remember that highlight was played so many times, and it was so cool that his voice was connected to this huge moment. Like if you are asked to think about the Phillies winning the World Series, you think of that call. So I wanted to be connected with the moment. I wanted to be the maker of some of those moments. And I just thought that was so damn cool. And so I was 10 years old, and I started getting involved like through like middle school, high school, like little leagues, school news, doing play-by-play for a local high school. That was actually my rival high school. That was fun. You know, just doing everything I can, making connections, reaching out to people, just making a blog, trying to cover pro events when I could. And hockey's my main sport. So when I got to Temple, I became the media director of Temple's ice hockey team. And I interned for the Royals for a few years. I got to do some really cool things for our radio station. I was a sports director. Got to be driven around a pace car at Pocono, officially 100 miles per hour, unofficially a little bit faster. Don't tell Chevy that. But
who drove you?
You don't want me to spoil my secrets. It was a media relations director.
Okay.
And I got to interview him and the president of the track. So I've been fortunate to do a lot of things and try to get a lot of exposure. And I got to broadcast some pro hockey games. Even when I was high school, I got to do it. With racing, I've covered, like I said, events. I got to interview Jimmy Johnson. I was on IndyCar radio, got to interview a few guys. Unfortunately, I was supposed to interview every other driver who came out of qualifying at Pocono, but it rained, of course. So I only got to interview, I only got to interview 3 guys. One of them, Santino Ferrucci, which was pretty cool.
Oh, no.
I know. It was pretty cool though to kind of like hear my voice reverberate out around the track.
That sound, I've been there a couple times. That sound system it's not the best sound system. I don't know if you realize that it was the one that I was like, this is a non-NASCAR owned track. I could tell.
Yeah, no, it's not the best. You're right. But it was I've been very fortunate to do a lot of things, and so senior year comes around. Unfortunately, I went through a pretty big. I was broken up with after 3+ years. That's fun. So in the midst of a pandemic, just rough all around. Nothing's happening in the sports world. So the end of this semester was a lot better just because hockey started coming back and all of that stuff. I applied to 123 jobs, didn't get a single interview.
Wow.
And this was really frustrating for me because obviously all those things, but I also felt like what you were saying, Nick, I've done all of this. I actually was named in 2019. I don't love talking about achievements, but
you won the RSR race. Nothing is going to top that. So just
that's fair. I was one of the finalists for the top collegiate sportscaster of the year award in the U.S., which again, amazing for me. And all of this stuff, I'm thinking to myself, what was the point? And then I got a message from the Royals general manager who knew me from when I interned. He was like, hey, we might be having the spot open. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like this could potentially be it. And there was a little unnecessary drama with the former broadcaster who was my boss and stuff like that. I have my own opinions. Of course, he landed on his feet in the same league, so I didn't feel bad anymore about going after this.
Yeah.
But eventually, it was actually Wednesday I got the offer, and then Friday I got the official letter, and Thursday I graduated. So I wrote an article today that'll be released when I start working on the 24th, trying to find some apartments near Reading because I'm in Philly right now. So yeah, that's kind of that's what what let us sit here. And
I love
Can you give us the play-by-play real quick?
Yeah.
You want
give us the taste, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Go watch some of his highlights. So I think part of the reason, and I don't know as a broadcaster if you have like a portfolio that you maintain. I would assume you're so your call it was the Flyers Cup.
Yeah. You saw that.
He did his research.
I think somebody, when you got the job, had commented on your Facebook post saying you got it. That maybe that was the difference maker, and I think that was a fantastic call.
Thank you very much.
And I think some of the people in the league need to watch that, right? So maybe we'll find a way.
Play that? Can we put that up on the? Can we put that into here now? Can we or is that not possible?
I can try. I don't know if the audio. I don't think the audio is going to come through for everyone. I'm not flexible like that as producer. We're not there yet. We barely got
This is why we didn't want media guys on until we figured it out. I think that's why.
I could potentially get it up real quick on the phone if you know.
Yeah, you could share your screen in here. If you give me a second, I could try to get the audio in here.
I want to see you try. I'd like to see.
While you try, so you on Race Spot, you're more of a color commentator. You are a lead in this role, right? You're going to be the lead.
Yes, and it's been a very big learning challenge for me with Race Spot to be in the color commentator role, because I started out doing a lot more lead commentary, but as positions kind of dwindled down because the pandemic was kind of rearing its, it's near its middle to end portion here. There were fewer lead commentary positions that worked for my time. And so I talk too much as a color commentator, which has been a struggle. But it's lead commentary, play-by-play. That's kind of, I guess, my bread and butter.
Yeah. And how did you, while he looks that up, I'm curious, how did you get to Race Spot TV?
Yeah, obviously, that's my number one question.
I know. I think you wanted to ask, how did you grace us with your presence?
And you didn't even start iRacing until like the same time Nick did in September, right? So all of this.
It is funny because, real quick, it is funny because I was a watcher before I was a participator in the series.
Oh, wow.
Before I had iRacing, yeah. So I knew all the names. I knew who was shit and who kind of wasn't before I showed up. And it's funny because I remember it was the final. It was the final race in Phoenix. And Dylan, you were commentating. I think you were the color commentator in that race.
Yeah.
I was laughing, and I remember texting Matt a couple times, and I was like, who is this guy? He is absolutely hilarious. He's spot on. I don't know, it was probably Steve Durham, ran into the pit wall. And I remember you being like, what in the world just happened? And we're all thinking it, but you were saying it, and I was like, this is just absolutely hilarious.
I appreciate that.
That's amazing. So much energy. I have said it at least 3 times. So yes. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I appreciate that. I think it's important to, as I say, call a spade, right? You need to say it with a little class, I guess. But at the same time, if something happens, I think that within reason, you should say what you see. For example, if you're Jeff Gordon, you're not going to say too many negative things about Hendrick because you have a stake in them, which is weird. I will be a Royals broadcaster, not an ECHL broadcaster, so I have a stake in the Royals. So I will definitely probably have more of a bias, but I'll still call a spade if I see one. But at the end of the day, they're going to be my coworkers in a way. So
that's okay, right? Isn't that okay? As if you're a homer,
you're a bit of a homer.
Yeah, you're supposed to be involved. I feel like it'd almost be weird if you weren't. If you're a local Okay.
Do you guys watch
Exactly.
NBA at all? Are you basketball fans?
So a little bit, yeah.
Because like the Nito thing with NBA TV is obviously you get the individual broadcast for each team.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always like I'm a massive Derrick Rose fan, so Bulls for the longest time, and whenever they'd play Boston, for some reason it wouldn't give me the option to listen to the Chicago commentary anymore, and I'd be forced to listen to the Boston commentary. And what's the guy's name? I think it was Harry. I can't remember the Boston commentator's name. Oh, really old guy. I think he might have passed away now, which is sad. But he was the biggest homer you'll ever hear in your life. Like the Celtics could do no wrong.
That's what you want, right? The Bulls announcers that Nick and I grew up.
They're the Bulls announcers.
Huge.
All I'm gonna say
is,
look up Jack Edwards, the Boston Bruins commentator. You will thank me later if you want to hear about homerism.
Do you know the Bruins? I don't actually really follow hockey, but if I did, the Bruins would be my team. I've got a jersey actually here just because I.
That's sick.
I just saw some text come in. Fuck
it's because of Happy Gilmore. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie, but yeah.
What movie is that?
So the Bruins, I just picked them as a random team just because of the fact that Happy Gilmore, he wears the Bruins jersey the whole time. So
I'm not gonna lie. When you were talking about the Flyers, even though we are pro gritty, a couple of years ago when they made it to the finals, I watched all the Bruins. We have a couple of friends in Boston, so I watched every single Bruins playoff game. They lost in Game 7. I mean, I didn't really care. It was more just about watching it. But I guess in hindsight, for you, Dylan, you're probably like, thank fucking God. So.
Yeah.
But exactly.
Okay. But the original question was how do I get involved? So I'm not sure if you know Lorenzo Bonder, part of the Race Spot team as well. He hasn't done any RSR stuff, but he and I announced at Race Department like 5 years ago together, and he moved to Race Spot. I took a sim racing sabbatical, if you will. For a few years, and said last March, I'm like, hey, I want to get involved with Race Spot, and the rest is history, I guess you could say. I guess it definitely helped that I knew Lorenzo, but that was how I got involved. By the way, we have someone in the chat. I love it. Someone,
yes,
Sayer
is in there. So our buddy Sayer, call out.
Oh God. He's the reason why I'm missing. He's the reason why I'm missing Monday's race.
Oh yeah, because you're going to Wrigley.
He's the reason why. So, and I'm sure he'll send a text now. But
yeah, he asked a great question. So he said, "What organization would Dylan, as a dream job, would you want to do play-by-play for?"
I mean, there's no question in my mind. It's the Flyers.
I was going to try to answer that. I didn't know if you were more passionate about other sports, but you've generally stuck around hockey, I assume, because it's your passion.
Hockey's my passion. The fact that I'm in the Flyers organization just out of college, it's like it's a dream come true. And it's interesting. Like, I'm more of the niche sports guy when it comes to a lot of things. I love hockey. I love racing. I love. Hopefully I don't offend you, Danson. Soccer.
Football. I think it's called football over there, right?
No, we're sort of similar to you. We've got our own.
You got
our own. Yeah, we got, which we call football, and we usually call. Well, it depends actually. If the people who have like European backgrounds, they'll refer to it as football for soccer. But we mostly call it soccer as well.
Yeah. No,
you should check out Aussie Rules though. That's sick.
Aussie Rules. You got I'm with you.
That just sounds more intense, and
it's amazing. Oh my God, it's amazing.
Oh, here we go.
Dylan.
I'm trying. I'll tell you, replace my camera here. Let's see if we can get the audio here. I'll try to do the call that we were talking about.
Knowing that there's a 30% chance this works.
I want to hear.
Yeah, I'll try. No, I just had to mute it.
This is one that Malvern wins. Coming out of the zone, the puck is Jacobs. We'll feed it to Sambuco. Sambuco, left circle shot. It's coming down. Score! Jimmy Jacobs.
That's a hockey call right there, Dylan.
For the first time since 2005, the Malvern Flyers.
Oh, that
I love it. You got to have energy when you're doing hockey, right? Like that's.
It's all about the geography, and this goes for every sport, but hockey I think more so because of the speed. You need to have the geography of the rink down. So, for example, if we're talking about an offensive zone chance, so if you're going from, if it's at the point, there's the left point, there's the right point, there's no center point where the blue line is. That's the deep slot, because the point is where the blue line and the boards come together. That forms a point. There's no center point because there's no point there. It's a deep slot. The half boards, the left or the right half boards, the circle, the mid slot, the home plate. There's a home plate. It's like the danger area. The crease, the blue paint, the net, the cage, the goal line, the corner boards, like all of that, you got to be rapid. And then you have to worry about, well, if you're announcing a team going from right to left, because you're always on that angle, what happens to the corner names if the team attacking is going to the left corner? What happens if they give the puck away? Well, the team going from left to right, that's not the left corner, it's not the right corner. So maybe you'll say the near corner, because it's always going to be the near corner. If you try, especially on radio, you have to paint a picture. And that kind of goes into everything when you're doing broadcasting.
So will you be radio or will you be TV in this?
Both actually. I'll announce it probably like a radio broadcast. But you'll actually, I think for free, you'll be able to listen to it on, I believe, iHeartRadio. I'll need to get that in.
They're going to have to send a Discord link to all of us.
Yeah, sure.
I think it's funny. As from a racing standpoint, I feel like doing a radio broadcast would just be amazing to do, because you just have to have so much energy. There's nothing like being at the track and hearing the radio, and especially at Pocono. If you're at Pocono, I mean, you can hear for like half the track, right?
Oh,
so you can really hear it. It's there's nothing like that energy. So
do you find yourself when you're at sporting events or watching on TV, doing your own color commentary over the broadcast, as practicing?
I certainly do.
I have embarrassing videos from when I was like 12 years old playing like NHL 13 and then doing commentary over a game that I knew what was going to happen. I've annoyed my parents, friends a lot doing that. So yes.
I think you're my spirit animal.
Surely we all commentate when we play a game. Whenever you're playing
from the grandstands. I did when Eric crashed at Daytona 500. I was screaming to the whole grandstand. I think they all knew what was happening, and then so no, I totally get it. That's incredible.
And so you're saying in the comments, no commentating at the Cubs game on Monday, please.
No, baseball. As much as I love baseball, it's a little too boring for that. So, but you know what? Two drinks in. I can't make any promises.
Should I grab another on one?
What were you drinking? What were you?
I was drinking a spiked seltzer, which I'm not a huge fan of, to be honest. However, I will say I love cocktails like Malibu Bay Breezes, like all that. Total.
That's something you get a lot of shit for in college.
Yeah, hey, as the one person,
who cares? I do the same thing. I will live down. People reach out to me 10 years later and they'll ask if I'm still drinking UV Blue.
I haven't found a beer that I've enjoyed. So how about that?
No, you know what? You know why? It's because he's young blood. That's why he just graduated college. You got beer's an acquired taste.
I
was 22. I hated it. So
you want to hear something? I can honestly say I never really even started drinking until I was 21, and it wasn't even until this year that I started to do it semi-frequently, I guess you could say.
Yeah, well, I gotta say, if I'm being honest, Matt passed out before midnight on our 21st birthday.
23 shots in, so
I showed up
3.
So, yeah. My night, I had a great night after he passed out, but I did not drink. I had not drank until my 21st birthday. So we had very different 21st birthdays.
I thought it's illegal to do it before then.
Why not? Life. That's another story for another time, probably.
Isn't it against over there in the States? Isn't it illegal to go before 21?
It's it's not legal. It's legal if they don't catch you, I guess.
Right. Okay. It's one of those it's one of those bendy laws.
I was just following the laws, and one of us weren't. So that's all.
Oh, no. Wow. FBI.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Come for you, Matt.
Is it 18 in Australia?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It should be 18. Should be 18
Well,
here.
You know, it's
It
funny.
seems strange
because
considering.
well, the funny thing, Danson, is I know you are Australian, but I worked at a steakhouse. For
I like how you just did the air.
I technically
I'm Australian.
Yeah,
Outback Steakhouse. Yes, the best.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, they make. I don't think it's not really Australian food, but I got to tell
There's
you,
nothing Australian about
if you,
Are you sure I'm not eating from the Barbie? The Barbie?
Dylan,
The Barbie.
if you think that I didn't work for 2 years on an Australian accent and then finally figure it out just for the laughs of it, I mean, Danson, I can't. No one can compete with that. So Dylan, you did a pretty good job there. But I think I know a little bit about Australian culture. And if you want fried onions or decent steak, if you make that in Australia, then I got you. So,
What's a bloomin' onion? Because they
It's
sell that there. I've never heard that in my
honestly,
life.
yeah, it's really bad. It's the worst thing I've ever had.
I've
if you
never had it.
You don't want it. I had it the first week I worked there as like an 18-year-old, just with horrible acne, and that made it worse. I had a full bloomin' onion, and then I don't think I ate it for the next 7 years. So it's disgusting. It's not what you would think. It's overall, I'm told it's not super Australian, but
yeah, I was trying to look at the menu just then. It actually doesn't let me even view it from Australia. I think they're trying to hide.
Yeah,
support them.
Danson, we called the shrimp on the Barbie. We had Chocolate Thunder from Down Under, so it was pretty legitimate, honestly.
Chocolate Thunder.
It was only in name, and then we would charge like medium to upper prices for pretty shitty foods. So
I love Outback. I can't lie.
Me too. No, Dylan. I actually, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's actually fantastic.
Yeah, I was so close to trying out Vegemite, and not just any Vegemite, but
you know what? We talked about this. We were supposed to get a Vegemite for the next time you were on. And I forgot about it.
We realized we could do this so soon. Yeah.
Like I was literally this close to having Lee Diffie's Vegemite because when I was covering the IndyCar race, he came in, he like dropped it off, and someone was messing with him about it, and I was like, should I? I decided against it. I did decide against it.
Why? Lee Diffie is an idol of mine. So
I was not covering for IndyCar radio, but I was covering for my own kind of stuff in 2018 at Pocono. Do we remember what happened at 2018 in Pocono? Robert Wickens.
Robert Wickens.
Oh, geez.
IndyCar, Robert Wickens. Yeah.
And
kind of ruined the whole mood. You probably had to cover that, right? I would assume you just have to cover that at that point.
It was horrifying. Like from the press box, thank God he's okay. Like in relatively speaking. Get him back in the car. Pretty great. Pretty amazing to see. Everyone thought he was dead. Like, there's no question. Everyone thought he was dead in the press box. Every time there was an announcement that came over our speakers, everyone was like, shut up, like, we got to hear this. I was in the elevator after the race, and Lee Diffie and Townsend Bell were in there as well. And I remember, like really briefly, like, asking, like, any updates, and they're like, nothing really, and they looked like they saw ghosts. Like, they obviously knew a lot more. They said, actually, I believe they said something about broken bones, and it was scary to see the expression on their faces. Obviously, it's like not a question you want to be asked. I was young. Give me a break. But
to be fair, there was a lot. From what I remember watching the beginning of it, seeing that happen, and then heading out, and it was like hours. It was like 4 or 5 hours later when I got back, and there was still no real news of what had happened. So
that was horrifying.
Nobody cared about the race, but I remember that race being very average at best. I think it was not good.
It was one of the most boring races, as was the next year for multiple reasons, because the IR18 is awful on speedways. like aerodynamically, and 2, both races, big crashes that took out a third of the field, if not more, in 18 and 19. Not awful. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I agree that IndyCar. That's why Indy 500 is not such a sell to go to maybe this year, because it's like there's no passing really going on. So
yo, Danson, I've got a completely random question for you. This is like completely random.
I love it.
So this requires some stupid backstory. I recently acquired a PlayStation 3 to live out my nostalgia with my PS2 as well. They released World of Outlaws sprint cars for the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3, but on the PlayStation 3, they only released it physically, I believe, in Australia. Do you realize how expensive those copies are?
No. Should I try and like get them all within Australia and then
oh my goodness,
sell them?
If you can find any, like,
I think that's the indirect ask here. That and some vending.
Yeah, I think that's
we're starting a business.
That costs like on eBay like $100 at least, and I'm like,
wow. You know that game costs like $15.
Yeah,
totally. So you better start a business. I don't know what the question was. If you start a business, please include me. I'd like to have a copy.
Yeah, we're gonna extort people to buy World of Outlaws on PS3.
Now he's looking it up. You saw the screen.
Actually, that's the only reason why he joined. He just wanted.
He's looking it up right now. The screen, the brightness changed.
You can see it through the eyes. You can see it through the glasses.
I'm trying to have a look here and see. Hang on, we'll go to eBay. $100? What the hell?
Yeah, but for the 360, it came out everywhere physically.
So why don't you just get a 360 and then?
Yeah, it would totally be cheaper. Like,
it actually would be cheaper. Yeah.
Yeah, it totally would be cheaper. But
is it actually a good game?
I think it's. I don't know.
How many times are you gonna play? You're gonna play it like 3 times and be
you're
like,
you're gonna be like, this is crap. I just spent all this time on it.
Yeah. And then you know what? I'd sell it again for $100 and get my money back.
Yeah, exactly.
So Dylan's conquered iRacing. He's clocked iRacing as the win this week.
I'll Dylan next week. He might be gone after this. He's going out.
See you guys.
What are you talking about playing World of Outlaws on PS3?
Where's the league session for that? Yeah, where's the league session for World of Outlaws? Well, I guess we should probably talk briefly. I guess
real quick. Sorry, Nick, and I know you're trying to transition to us. We have a question in the chat while we're on Danson. A good question. I can't remember if we covered it last week with you, Danson, but being in Australia, I guess, is NASCAR popular out there? Obviously, we talked last week about how you were a big Jimmy fan. How did you get into NASCAR, and what's NASCAR's reputation, I guess, out there?
That's a good. How did I get into it? I don't know. I think I was just like super hungry for all types of motorsport, like in that sort of late 90s, early 2000s, and somehow NASCAR just caught my attention. Oh, you know what? No, I know exactly how I got into NASCAR. I had picked up the demo for NASCAR Racing 3 by Papyrus, and just because I used to just like, download all heaps of demos. Like I would never buy games, but I have the demo for everything. Back as like
more kids, we don't have money, so that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
It's always the demo.
Yeah, and it'd be like some of them be hit and miss, whatever. But I remember, I got NASCAR Racing 3, and I was just like, damn, this is so cool. And I'd previously played like, Papyrus's what was it, IndyCar Racing and IndyCar Racing 2, like back in the mid 90s.
Were those games good?
Yeah, they were incredible. Yeah.
Okay.
And I played a lot of like GP2. Which was F1 game by Microprose, whatever. So that was sort of my thing. And then I stumbled upon NASCAR Racing 3. I was like, this is sick. As we spoke about last time, like I was kind of aware already just from random posters and calendars and stuff. I'd seen like the DuPont 24, like the rainbow car. I'd seen Earnhardt's car, that sort of thing. So I kind of had a bit of awareness of some of them. But the game is really what introduced me to it. And the fact that, through the Papyrus games, you could go in the paint shop and like edit your paint scheme, which just like for me as a kid, I thought that was incredible. I don't know why, but I just thought that was amazing. And I'd make like a car for each of like my siblings or whatever. So we had like the family racing team and I was like the Marra brothers.
Yeah, exactly. You and Matt had similarities. I mean, like,
so that was me. We had NASCAR Racing 2003 season,
and still today. He does that today for me too.
put on
I'll get the text at
NASCAR
6:55.
remembers that.
Oh, yeah.
Zach gets the text at 6:55 that says, "Hey, did you update the car for me this week? Are all the details right? Did Evan give us all the details? Yeah, have you updated it for us?"
Yeah.
I did want to ask you guys in a little bit about the 23 and the 32, like the significance number. But yeah, that's sort of what got me into NASCAR from that. And I had to search out to find a broadcast of it because it was only on like cable. And for us, as I found out recently, talking to one of my teammates, cable for us is very different to cable for you guys. Like I think you have to pay for almost all your channels, like on TV. Like you don't really have free to air. Is that right?
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So-
I mean, sort of.
Yeah.
Okay, so for us, it's basically like you have your standard like sort of 5-6 channels that everyone watches, and that's a lot of the TV shows are on that. Like they'll buy TV shows
Channel
from
7?
America and put them on Channel 7. Exactly. Yeah, they broadcast like supercars and that sort of thing for the longest time. Channel 10 do F1 and so on and so forth. Then it's changed a little bit. It's gone more towards that American model now, where a lot of it is heavily cable based. But back in those days, it was like it must be a real small percent that had cable. That was where NASCAR was. So trying to sort that out, like I would take a VHS tape with me to school because there was one kid that had cable. I'd take a VHS tape to school, give it to my friend who would take it home and hopefully try and remember to record it. And I don't think the friend that was recording it didn't have like a timer. He'd wake up at 4 a.m. to push record for me. And then, when he'd wake up for school, he'd pull the VHS out and give it to me. So that was how I got into it.
Wow.
But yeah,
That's
it was
awesome. That's a fucking awesome story. That's dedication right there.
Massive dedication. Awesome. Yeah.
We love that.
And then, then I got into it. Then I eventually got cable myself. And I was like massively into like NR 2002. Actually, the one that blew my mind was the first time I got NR4, NASCAR Racing 4, because that was like the step between 3 and 4.
3D.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I mean, and probably looking back, if I opened it up now, I'd be like, oh, this looks horrible. Then again, it might look exactly the same as iRacing still. I don't think it's really progressed.
Right.
But
Not really.
yeah, when I first opened 4, I was like, holy hell, this is insane. And yeah, here I am.
Can we just take a step to appreciate the effort you went through to record that video for somebody waking up at 4 a.m. And now, Danson, you and I are playing in 4K virtual reality headsets on iRacing Monday night.
Exactly.
That's just it's incredible where technology.
You guys are in the reverb, right? I was listening to half of it last week.
Okay, you said half of it. Okay.
Yeah.
At least
there's an update.
The view wasn't just like a 3-second view, and then.
Okay.
Oh, he skimmed.
Danson,
Matt,
we got another question for you, so I'll keep pounding you with questions.
I love questions.
So. The question is, have you ever been to a NASCAR race? And if not, where would you want to go?
I haven't. I haven't been to America, actually. And unfortunately, I don't know when they're even going to open that up now. But I was so close. Oh, frick, what year was it? I was so close to just spur of the moment flying over for the championship race, Homestead, one year, just on a whim. But I didn't because it's like $1,500 for a flight from here to over there. Where would I want to go now? It's tough because I feel like NASCAR gets further and further away from something I want to watch.
Yeah.
Like just things like stages and we've spoken about all that nonsense. But probably my favorite track is Dover. So I feel like I'd like to watch a race from Dover because it's just the fact that it's an awesome track. Other than that,
a place you could stay.
yeah, exactly.
Hell
you can stay, buddy.
Awesome.
You can stay
he'll even clean his bedroom.
I'm leaving this bedroom in 3 weeks, so
okay. It's Tuesday. Do you think you can get on that flight? Wednesday, but you think you can get on that flight in a couple days?
True. No, who knows when they're going to open it up? I mean, at the moment, it's looking like it's also $10,000 for a flight at the moment, according to my search the other day.
I'm looking right now.
Have a look at that. That's insane, right? But yeah, I don't know. The whole restrictions for us is pretty hectic at the moment in terms of they're very careful about where we can and can't go, which is Yeah, a concern, but that's a different discussion. Yeah, I think probably Dover would be, that's the one that jumps to mind. And I guess Daytona for the experience, but I feel like I would be bored after lap
the answer
3.
given. Yeah.
I went to the 24 in January. I just was I need to get away, and that was an amazing experience. Also, you're talking about the year of Jeff that you took, Nick.
Yeah.
That I wanted to have the 24 of Jimmy. So I wanted to.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
I think we were talking about that.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, because I went to the road course.
That's right.
A few weeks later, the Daytona road course. So yeah.
So that was cool. That was really cool.
I think Dover is good because it's got the casino, as you know, Dylan. So when we went,
I'm of age.
Yeah, you're of age now. That's right. You could actually. Oh, that's right. You were restricted. We were not restricted when our brother and I went a few years ago. So we went to the truck race, and then we ended up at the casino for a few hours. A lot of NASCAR personalities go down there, so you want to network, Dylan. I'm just saying that's a good place to. That's a good place. Voice of the Royals. They'll be connecting to you. Is what'll be happening when you get down there.
Oh my goodness, that's so crazy to me. Like I've got a cool job, but like I want to help people. If they ever come to me and they're like, you know what can I do? I'm like, here's how to get my job. Like I don't know. I just feel like there were so many people that were instrumental to helping me that I just want to keep helping others.
Yeah. So we love that. And I guess we should talk a little bit about Dover, the virtual Dover this week.
Virtual.
Before we sign off, and we heard a lot of complaining on the chat over the past 24 hours. So, I won't be a part of it, but it sounds like hell. I don't know. Have any of you guys raced over? Do we know what to expect at all, or are we just going to kind of see throughout the week?
What's the complaining been? What are people saying?
It seems to be that you can't pass, and there's going to be a lot of aero issues.
You can pass. The issue is you've got to be pretty brash. You've got to set up your move a few corners before you can actually make the pass. And let's be honest, there's a lot of impatient drivers in the league. I might be one of them. I don't know. Depends.
At least 3 of us here. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So we're all going to be doing it together. So.
Okay, let's be honest. Danson is impatient, but good at being impatient.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot right?
In the mid-pack, we're afraid of Danson because we know we are. Not no shot.
In the mid-pack, you're trying not to drive over your head. You're trying to be careful, and then someone like Danson will, cut you off. He'll make the dive bomb. He'll slide.
Don't you mean Everhart?
The balls to make that move.
Yeah, come on. I'm not Everhart. What the hell?
No, I'm not saying you specifically, right? So there are guys in the league. If they start in the back, they're aggressive, right?
Yeah.
The difference between I'm saying the difference between like 30th and 20th is that maybe we all have 20th place speed, but there are people who want it more, who will try to execute the slide jobs, who will get into accidents. And, our mentality is always intended to be, well, if they're faster, let them go. Don't try too hard at the beginning. Let them use their tires, right? So,
Dover's
we'll see some
so tough. Because of that, actually, Matt, like Dover's going to be tough because, going into the corners and out of the corners, it's so weird because it's kind of like it's on a hill. Yeah. You're climbing up the hill and the wall comes out of nowhere. So there's going to be a lot of right side damage for drivers, and I don't see us having long green flag runs if drivers are really looking to make a pass. There's going to be issues, I think, for drivers who are trying to get out of the way when they're lapped, and there's going to be a lot of that if we do have green flag runs. So Danson, if you're in a high spot, don't get mad if you have traffic in front of you.
I'll just move you out of the way. I've got 2 questions for you guys, though. I've got 2 questions. First question is, how many races do you think Washington's suspension will increase to after Dover? And
I got to comment on that real quick. So, but you can.
Did anybody message us after last week, Matt?
David Washington. No, not David Washington. I'm pretty confident David Washington does not like me. But
how could he not?
He's got it.
He doesn't actually know. He's just looking for views. He's just looking for views.
So he was exactly who I was thinking of in my head when I was talking about these examples. Because David Washington's someone who has a lot of speed, who races aggressively, but is also, for some reason, kind of around us, Nick. So take it for what it's worth. But yes, that's
like that stove price guy.
Does Dylan have any comments about that?
Yeah, Dylan, what do you reckon?
About David?
No,
Yeah,
about
because
Stove
what's
Price.
tell us about Stove? Yes. This
We
is your
talked about
chance.
that
Get
a little
stuck
bit
in.
last week, so we're realizing Matt is here
He's the commentator.
specifically
He
to
can't
comment,
commentate on it.
so yeah, you want to comment on that stuff that we talked about last week, Dylan?
So you want me to talk about the stove?
Yes, I'll support any negative things you have to say.
You know, let me choose my words. I don't understand. This is probably the most negative you'll see me. I don't understand why he has to be so negative at times. Like I'm sure that I'd like to think that he's not his typical racing representation of himself isn't who he actually is. But like, come on, man. Like in the Winter Series, I'm trying to be very, very kind here. In the Winter Series, like I made a huge mistake and came down on him at Richmond, the second or third race of the year. He has held that over me ever since. I mean, he made that post in the Facebook group that, you know,
Well, that wasn't even in the heat of a battle, right? That was like a middle of a week post. Like
I was so confused. Yeah, for people who don't know, he made a post saying, "Can we make a what's it called? A petition to that apparently I cannot do the overwhelmingly difficult task of broadcasting and racing."
Hey, yesterday seemed like a pretty good.
I was going to say,
effort.
so Dylan, maybe you can. I can tell you're not going to give us the one-liner we're trying to get out of you in this. But
we can get it. We'll get it out of him. Don't worry.
So what do you have to say to Stove after your victory yesterday?
Well,
Stove was in that race, wasn't he? Was he in that race?
Yeah,
he said good win afterwards.
He did.
Oh, that's
he did.
awesome. Where did he finish?
So what do you have to say to him, Dylan?
He finished in 8th. He finished one spot ahead of me. We both were, yeah.
Well, I'm not going to say anything overly like crazy because like we all know that I'm not going to be finishing first when we're at Dover. But like,
You know that.
Fine. But I will say like, just like, dude, come on, we're just all trying to have fun here, and like,
There you go.
like
It's a hey. Look at me. I know what I'm doing, right? So like for example, I mean Steve Durham.
I know what I'm doing. I know when to push. I know when not to push. I know when I make a mistake.
Steve Durham did the same thing, right? For us in the back, I think it's especially like we want to prove that we belong, right? And when people say things that were said like towards you, there's maybe a little extra motivation to show that you belong, right? And
I think so. It's been I've had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. I had a good showing at Lucas Oil in the Xfinity. At the Xfinity.
That was so.
Yeah, we were all up there together. You, Nick, and I. Yeah. Well, I'm sure Danson was too. Yeah, Danson was.
Yeah, you remember that, Danson?
Yeah. I remember Dylan was like he was so excited. I think you were running P10 or something, and then you got wrecked on a restart.
Yeah,
like no yellow.
The genuine disappointment and sadness. It broke my heart. But I was. Yeah.
Dylan consistently ran well. Like you consistently, it was a theme.
I mean,
that
let's
you would
not get
have
carried
solid
away.
runs and something always happened. Literally always happened.
It seems to happen a lot where like I'm great for 90% of the race, well, decent, and then something happens. Like with Stove at Kansas, I felt like I had a top 20 car, and you know it just so happened. So I feel like from the very beginning of when I started with RSR with in the Winter Series, like I feel like I've gotten more comfortable racing with everyone. I know my limits. I am getting more comfortable in sim as well because, I mean, I forget exactly when the Winter Series kind of like started. I think it was like in October or so.
October? Yeah, I think it was October.
Yeah. And I hadn't even started iRacing until August. So I get what you're saying, Nick. Like, it's difficult. It's difficult to get comfortable just in the car, especially when like, you know, I'm trying to do so many things at once. Like I want to race this car, I want to race that car, and it's like focus on one thing. But yeah, you know, it's I've gotten more comfortable. I'm really happy that, you know, I got that win to kind of like make myself feel happy. Hopefully that carries over into the Cup Series. It's just about keeping my car clean because 30th place. I feel like I can consistently get top 25 and then get some top 20s out of it. It's just rough. Yeah.
Well, you got the chip off your shoulder now. You won. I will never feel bad for Nick again after his Clash win. You got the win.
The pitcher on the radio doesn't get a lot of remorse anymore. So,
I'm not going to feel bad for you until I get a win. So nicely done there. I don't think any of us are going to win there. Maybe Danson, right?
I would love to, yeah.
You need to win. Can you realistically, Danson? Can you win for the podcast this weekend? Is that a realistic goal for us?
Dover, I'm normally reasonably good. I need to actually do some laps beforehand for a change, like not just rock up like right at the time and then learn during qualifying and hope for the best. So maybe we'll see. I have a pretty good sort of affinity for Dover, so we'll see how we go. But Dylan, I want a definitive statement from you. If you had to say who's better out of you and Stove. And now, before you answer that question as well, hang on, let me just double check. Are you Dylan Coyle or Dylan Coyle 2? You'd be Dylan Coyle, surely.
I am Dylan R. Coyle.
Oh. Dylan R. Coyle. All right. Hold on. Because I want to throw some stats at you as well while we answer this question.
Oh, no. We can't have stats can't get in the way of a good story, Danson, okay?
No, that's fine. I feel like this
interesting.
Stats are going to support you. The stats are going to support you, I feel, because let's see. So Stove has made just shy, two starts shy. This is not inclusive of league racing, of course. 2 starts shy of 2,300 starts.
Oh my god!
With a win rate of just 9%.
That's good.
Which it's not
Danson.
amazing.
It's already win at like 40%, Danson. Jesus.
I don't think I have a 9% win rate.
You don't have a 9%, but you've only got 93 total starts. So, and let's not forget that you're racing within the same vicinity as Stove, who's got 2,200 starts more than you. So, with that information to hand, who do you think's better?
I think if given the amount of time, I could be better than Stove. God, I don't like making statements like that because it can come back to bite you.
I think Stove's statements already came back to bite him.
Yeah, it's okay.
I know it's the whole fighting fire with fire. I think he is better at being aggressive and getting the most out of his car, but I don't think he can keep that up in the long run. I think in a consistency standpoint, I can beat him. I think if it came to take a 10-lap stretch, I think he would beat me. I think take a 50-lap stretch, I would beat him. Does that at all satisfy?
Yeah, he wanted something a little more spicy, I feel like.
Yeah.
He wants a little more than that, I feel like.
Yeah, you mentioned that he gets the most out of his car. Judging if we just look at the most recent RSR race, not the IROC, but the Cup Series, he did definitely get a lot out of it when he drove it straight up into the wall coming out of turn 4 and into the infield. So he was getting everything he could there.
He was. I'm glad he didn't get everything he could while he was side by side with me for 3 laps. I was really happy. He did it the lap I passed him. Then he got all he could.
Well, see, I get pissed off when I hear like him saying like stuff like that and like about the whole like I promised I'd get you back and all that. Yeah, like dude, like, you know how I'm feeling about that.
Yeah,
I'm not okay with it. But like at the end of the day, I want to take the high road on stuff because like I know I feel better in my heart when I'm I feel better in my heart when I am taking the high road and just kind of quietly going about my business for the most part, and then I like to show it with results and not words. So
I can say that he is actually a nice person as far as a human's concerned. He is a good guy. Which is why I feel pretty comfortable to throw him under the bus constantly.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah,
he's a Joey Logano, I feel like. We like him out of the car. We can't stand him in the car sometimes.
Well, my problems with him have typically been out of the car. So
that's true. I don't know. I don't know what's going on
there. That's true. He is
I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah.
Maybe he's jealous of your like 92 starts and you're already like surpassing him. Maybe there's like a
what's my win ratio?
The old win ratio. Look,
what counts as an RSR winner? I saw you were the 103rd. I was like, do I count as one of those winners? I don't know.
I think you do.
It's an RSR
mean,
race. Yeah.
That's what I thought. I wasn't sure.
The IROC Series, Evans would consider himself a winner. He won in the IROC
Yeah, he's a winner.
Series last year.
there you go. That's why.
Right?
That's why he's counting those, so he can put himself in.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, there was a truck series, right? So there's a truck series that also was not broadcasted. I'm wondering if that's going to come back at some point this year. Nothing's been announced, obviously. But there were some other leagues. I think all of them count towards that total.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Except for the throwback series. I don't think that counted because no one did any of those races.
Yeah, it was like 3 or 4 guys. Yeah, it was very small.
Was there really only 3 or 4?
I think it stopped halfway through because there wasn't enough.
Not even by the last 2 races, it was only like 4 people on them.
So I guess the good question to take us back to IROC. It's a question I wanted to ask earlier. Is certainly I'm surprised that we have a race, regardless of what car we're driving, a race on Race Spot TV, right? And you have 14 guys show up for the IROC race. You would expect more participation there. I know at Daytona we had like 25. I can even understand Michigan and God, I even forget where we raced after that. It just was not. It was not very fun. The car was not very fun to drive, right? But still, restrictor plate race, anyone can win. I was surprised.
I was surprised.
Yeah.
I hope the track combination.
Yeah, I mean, you have a closer channel to Evan. Is there any concern about that or thought about how maybe we can get some more participation?
So we haven't necessarily talked about how to, but he was surprised too. He had hoped for close to 30 for Dega, which I think that there's not much talking. Like, let's be honest, in the chat, we're not really talking about IROC races like we are talking about, the Cup Series. We're talking about Dover a few days ago. We never talked about Dega and everything. So I think that also, part of it comes down to like the drivers themselves. Like we can also do some things to like kind of stir up interest, and maybe somebody like Danson will get up out of his bed and think about taking part.
We need the fair and air.
You're our voice, Danson. You're our voice at the front. You're our voice of the leaders.
It's the track. It's the current track combo is not super inspiring. Like, even Michigan, like I don't know. For me, that those tracks, as dickish as this is going to sound, like that doesn't get me out of bed because like it's just that's not. And I guess I looking at it, I'm assuming the decision was to go for tracks where you can kind of be a bit more wide open and it'll be more open. But I don't know I just don't think that's not a super enticing combo for me. Like if that same car was at a couple of select short tracks, then I'd be like, oh, that could be fun. It's a bit different. Whatever, pressure's off. You can just kind of go out there and just muck around. But taking that to Dega, it just
I gotta say, like even though like I don't feel like it devalues like people. I don't want to think it devalues my win, but I also think
you still have to win.
I do agree with you, though, where it is hard to entice somebody who is typically running at the front at races where there's a lot more driver input needed. Like with this, you kind of had to get lucky in some situations. I think like the smaller moments, like making sure you don't, wreck out of a turn or something like that after getting bumped. Like I think that's a big thing, but I definitely get what you're saying. Like, it comes down to not being able to put a lot of input in it as a driver to decide what happens. You can make decisions and you can try to pull out strategies, but when it comes to like absolute skill, there's a lot more that you can put into a Cup Series car at a track like Kansas than an IROC car at Kansas. Or I guess just a.
It's hard to drive though. I gotta say, Dylan.
It is.
It's not. I hate that. I hate that car with a passion, and I only am doing it because we're doing it on Monday nights. That car could burn to the ground tomorrow, and I'd be.
But it is not. Yeah. It's not stable, but it's not terribly difficult to catch.
I would agree with that. I would agree. Like just uncomfortable. Uncomfortable.
It is uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable.
Which is just that's a struggle. When we're trying to, we were just talking about that, Dylan. That has been my struggle. The cars just aren't very comfortable at the short run. You said you could beat Stove in 50 laps. I feel the exact same way that you do. for a few laps.
Maybe we should run the dirt sprint car at Dega. That'd be a
Oh,
brilliant.
how would that even do?
I want to do it. Let's do it.
Just
Let's
get
do it.
50 of those.
That'll be the All-Star race. That'll be the All-Star race they keep talking about.
Maybe we'll do an after the turns exclusive, and we'll just we'll have a segment next week with the dirt cars at Dega.
Oh my God! Can I be a guest star too as well?
Yeah.
Surely.
We'll
That would be
organize
fun.
something. That'll be fun.
What a combo.
Matt, I know. Is there anything? I think you mentioned you wanted to bring a couple things up that I don't think we've gotten to.
Yeah, because we should probably wrap up soon. This is by far the longest episode, and I think we expected it.
Maybe it is.
We're at about an hour 45 now.
Oh my God!
Dylan, thank you for staying up.
Well, thank God we got the guests. Yeah.
After one.
Yeah,
Hey, we're having an awesome conversation. It's awesome that we're at a point where nobody realizes at what point we are. But I guess just what I wanted to say was the show is now on Spotify. So you can go look up After the Turns on Spotify. I feel like that makes us a little more official. So if you're in your car, you can listen to us there because I don't think Twitch is too friendly if you want audio only. Also, if you go to aftertheturns.com, it'll take you straight to our stream here. We are now, as of today, the official podcast of Real Sim Racing.
Yes!
So super pumped about that. Yes. So Dylan, you had brought it up, and I know Sam had brought it up. I had a great conversation with Evan earlier, and we're going to start getting the podcast maybe more mentioned on the broadcast and more advertisements. So we're certainly thrilled about that. I know when Nick and I started this 4 weeks ago, certainly did not expect to get to this level of involvement, right? And I think we have almost 100 views on our last show. So this is awesome.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I was going to say,
that's why you're back, Danson.
That's very exciting news. That's very exciting news, man. I feel like my putting our official podcast host of RSR is going to look great on my dating profile. So I can only imagine. I might not be at a lot of Monday nights going forward.
Listen. Voice of the Reading Royals hasn't helped me. So
okay, gotcha. I want to talk. That should help. These things good to know. The voice. That's what the voice of RSR.
The voice of RSR.
Yeah. No, that's Evan's the voice of RSR.
Okay, the voice of RSR.
You know what? I can take it from him. It's fine. Different.
The podcast voice.
Yeah, the podcast voice. Yeah, not the.
Evan might have some words for you. Yes.
Not even the radio voice. The podcast voice. Yeah.
So the other announcement or comment I guess I was going to make for anyone who's listened this far, especially almost making it to the 2-hour mark. You're obviously a dedicated listener. We're looking to sponsor some cars in Real Sim Racing. Kind of like a Marcus Lemonis kind of a sponsorship opportunity. Go put us,
Matt
give away money. We'll see how many weeks we can do this, right? But I think our intention with starting the broadcast was to, we're lucky enough to have some awesome sponsors with Gammadale Technologies, Mercury Energy, and McConey Setup Shop sponsoring most of the season for both of us. We wanted to kind of give that back because that's not even something we had expected. So we'll use the show to kind of continue to grow some of the camaraderie and collaboration within the league and get out there, get people more excited. If we can create more awareness and excitement around the league, that's absolutely what we want to do. So what I'm going to do is if you reach out to me, say, hey, you made it to the end and you're a diehard listener and you want us to sponsor you, certainly. I know our goal was with our sponsorship, to be able to pay for the registration fee, which we can talk about in another episode. Is I don't understand how it's so cheap. If you look at the Race Spot TV packages, Evan has given us a huge bargain. I don't know how we're paying only $35. But we'd like to help get you back there. Thinking, we can talk depending on where you're at, but you go win in our car, we'll give you $10 a race, right? And maybe like $5 for a top 10 or a top 5 or something. So, reach out to us if you're interested, and love to see some cars out there with After Turns on it. It would certainly make us excited.
Danson, I know you talked about before the season started, for me to talk about Race Spot sponsorship. I hope I just run it because it's fun. I don't have any paying sponsorship. I never even starting to
gotcha.
look into that.
I would be in the same boat. If Matt wasn't doing all the work for me, I would have been in the
So
same.
Dylan, you're a great person to sponsor because you have the broadcast. You have the broadcast time, right? So we know you're going to be shown a few times in the race, and we're going to.
That's a good little thing to get some sponsorship. I'm like, hey, listen, I'm talked about a lot in the race, not because I'm good, but because I'm
you got the TV time. Hey, that was part of my sell to our sponsors too, is because I'm one of only a couple guys who shares the video. I know I'm going to get a little bit of video time. Thank you, Hugo. So that was part of our sell too. So and certainly I know Nick called out Evan last week. He should have been calling out the RaceBot TV crew and saying, hey, I ran top 15 most of the race.
Oh yeah,
I know. I heard you say that, and like when I saw in the results that you finished 15th, so like I'm not looking at who's up there and not. So don't blame me.
No, I was joking. I've been running better though. I've been running a lot better recently. Yeah. So
dude, I was so happy to see you finishing up there. Like that was great.
I know. Well, the thing is, I don't think 4 weeks ago nobody knew that I existed. So I feel like at this point now maybe we'll just have to run a little better to get us on.
Just gotta drive into the pit entry barrels like Matt, and you get
exactly. I'll just be that. I'll be the guy that makes a couple of really dumb mistakes, and then he just wanted to get on TV today. That's what it was.
Sponsors.
Well, I think Matt got everything out. So at the risk of time, I feel like I say this every week. We should probably head on. I will say next week. Like I mentioned, I most likely, unless something crazy changes, I won't be at Dover. But you guys enjoy. I know, but I'm gonna watch. I'll watch the replay.
You should come to the real Dover.
I went a couple years ago. Of course, it rained out, and I stayed till it was another Truex domination race. That so you'll probably do it again this weekend. But exactly. But no, I mean, obviously, enjoy. I'm excited to hear how everybody does next week. I don't. Danson, obviously, we'll talk. Hopefully you've won and you'll come back on the show and we'll recap it. We've got a couple of exciting things. I think we're going to do a power rankings next week, but you didn't hear it from me. So talk about that. We got to start talking about the good guys. We got to start, not that
the power rankings of the bottom.
I think we're going to go down to 30. And we're
the lack of power rankings.
30.
We should each own a section of the power rankings. So the intention with Danson's obviously, I think we talked about at the beginning, going to be more of a regular, member of the team here when he's able to join. And the intention is, Nick and I cover, the middle to the back of the pack. And I think, we should really be all inclusive here. Danson was eager enough to join us. We're excited about that. And he can tell us what's happening up front because Nick and I have no clue. So I think we'll have the whole field, kind of me in the back and Nick in the middle of the pack now and Danson up front. And maybe we each own a section of that power rankings.
25th and below should have its own special amount of
last car standings.
Last car standings. Well, the slowest or the least amount of pit damage time.
Exactly. Well, it's just there. I gotta tell you, that's a little all of us have damage. Just how much damage do we have? But yeah, we're excited for that. Obviously, guys. Dylan, congratulations again. We're so happy for you, both in your personal life and in RSR. Really big week.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you deserve it, and we're excited to see what you do over the next couple of months here into the fall. In RSR as well. Maybe one of us will win. Danson, win next week, please. I better look at the results and see that you win.
Yeah, dude. You got to get in the win column.
You will win COTA, but if we can get you an oval win before that road course win.
Yeah. See, I'm literally Montoya. I gotta get my oval win to validate myself.
Exactly. You need that. Hey, if he's in the lead, guys, you guys, I got to tell you right now, if he's in the lead with 5 laps to go, don't cause the caution.
Exactly.
Worm's not in the race to cause the caution, and then
Matt, you ready to cause the caution with me?
Let's do it. I was just thinking that. Well, I was thinking if Danson's in second, what does that mean?
Match fixer here.
Yeah.
Get entry is pretty
we
difficult.
really
Thomas,
want
so.
the help from Danson. I will do whatever it takes. It doesn't
I
care.
promise I owed you one.
Yeah, exactly. There was some fighting words on this podcast. Or maybe can we just talk a couple more minutes of shit about Stove? That way he will.
Yeah, 100%. We should have a segment, just Stove only, Stove watch.
Yeah, exactly. Just back up to him and just see what happens.
The hot
Apparently see
stove.
what happens.
The hot
Yeah,
Stove,
I know.
yes.
I'm joking. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, all right. Well, this has been After the Turns, episode 4. Looking forward to next week. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a great night.